What's going on, everyone? Kevin here, or the Sports Geek, and today I'm just going to take a look at Fantasy Labs for tonight's MLB contest. It's August 24th, Wednesday, and I'm going to be looking at the 7 p.m. Eastern Time slate. So let me just tweet this live stream out, and I'll get started taking a look at today's slate. So I'm in the Fantasy Labs model, and this is the Sports Geek model. Any Fantasy Lab subscriber can get access to the Sports Geek model as a pro model. If you don't have an account for Fantasy Labs, make sure you sign up using the link in the YouTube description. That will give you the best price at the time. And with NFL season coming up, it's a perfect time to sign up for Fantasy Labs if you don't already have an account. So one of the first things I like to do is look at the Vegas dashboard here and just take a look at some team totals and some line movements and stuff. We got Washington at 4.8. We got Toronto at 4.8. Boston has actually moved down to 4.2. So they moved down 0.3 runs for their implied team total. So Tampa Bay's pitcher might be a good option. We might have to take a look at that. Kansas City is their implied team total is 2.8. So Miami has Jose Fernandez pitching. So he might be a good option. We got Texas at 4.7 implied team total. Philadelphia 4.7. White Sox 4.8, Detroit 4.8, Minnesota 4.7. So these teams in dark green, that's usually what you want to look for. Arizona's at 4.5. We got the Cubs. Okay, so those are some earlier games here. So I'll filter this out. You can go up to contest here and go to 7 p.m. So we've got 10 games. So that will give us the 7 p.m. slate here. All right, so just quickly looking at those teams, I've got a couple teams in mind that I want to look at, and we'll go to the lineup page here and just kind of take a look and see how many lineups are confirmed. Again, let me just filter it out so we only get the 7 p.m. slate. And so it looks like we're just waiting basically on the Mets at 8:15 and the two later games, 10 o'clock and 9:40 Eastern. Just let me double check here. Can you guys all hear me? Just say something in the chat there. I see you guys are typing in the chat, so I'm guessing you can hear me. If you guys have questions, leave them there. I'll try to get to them at the end. So it also has the Vegas team totals here under each team. So we're going to take a look at a couple teams. I've already looked at some stuff today, and I've found a couple teams that I think I like. One of them being the Washington Nationals. I think they might be popular. They're hitting the ball pretty well lately. They're facing a lefty in Wade Miley, who hasn't been too good. So Washington's a team I'm going to look at. But you can see here their team value rating is 49. They've got a lot of expensive hitters, so it's going to be tough to fit a Washington Nationals stack into your lineup if you want to go expensive on pitching. And I think tonight there isn't many cheap pitching options that I really like, so I think I'm going to have to go for cheaper hitters. So it's going to be tough to get Washington into my lineup, but I might try to pick one or two or three of their players and fit them in. And then we've got the Blue Jays at 4.8. They're another team I'm looking at. Matt Shoemaker's been all right lately, but the Blue Jays are always dangerous at the Rogers Center. They've got a pretty good lineup. Martin's been really hot lately. Tulo's been hot. He seems to have his bat going again. So I think the 1 through 5 Toronto stack would be okay. Not too expensive either, with Barney at 2.4. We get Russell at 4,000 even. And that 1 through 5 Toronto stack wouldn't be too expensive to roster. Another team I was looking at, where are they? So I was looking at game stacking this Phillies and Chicago game. I think it might be high scoring. Surprisingly, we've got the White Sox at pretty low prices here. We've got Cabrera, who's coming off a big game last night. Let's check how many points he ended up with. 17 DraftKings points. His last couple games, he's averaged around 14 DraftKings points, and he's at 2.9. And they're expected to score 4.8 runs. So pricing's a little off here. You can see their team value rating is 88. So the White Sox are someone I'm really looking at. You can see here, like Morneau is at 2.9, 3.8, 3.8, 3.7. So it wouldn't be too hard to stack the White Sox here with 4 or 5 hitters and then go a little more expensive on pitching. So that's a team that I really like. The Phillies against Shields, I think I would go for couple of their players. You can see here their team value rating is 56. They're a little too expensive tonight, but it might work out if you throw in one or two of those guys. The Texas Rangers, I think, are in a good spot here. Be careful of this rain. I'm going to check on the rain forecast later. I like to check that a little closer to 7 because things always change. But the hitters should be okay as long as the games, there's no risk for postponement. So Texas Rangers would be a team that I'd be looking at too, like Beltran at 3.5 hitting in the 2 spot. I think would be a good play today. And there's got to be another team here. Oh, yeah, Detroit was the other team I was looking at. 4.8 runs for their implied team total. Their hitters aren't too expensive here. We can get Victor Martinez at 3.7 if we want him over Miggy, who's 4.4. We got Ibar 3.3. Maben, I don't know if I would go with Maben, but leading off at 4.1 with in a leadoff position there might be okay. But again, I don't really like any, besides the White Sox, I don't really like any full team stacks. I think the full team stacks I do like are a little too expensive. So I might be looking at stacking maybe 3 or 4 hitters from a team instead of 5 for tonight's action. And then in the late games, there aren't too many hitters I've been looking at, or at least stacks I've been looking at here. I do like Rich Hill. I'll get to that in a second. Diamondbacks might be a good play to throw in a couple of their hitters. The Mets, their team total, their implied team total is only 3.7, but I was looking at them. Someone like Cespedes might be good in a lineup. Brandon Moss, you can see here, he has 13 pro trends. He might be a good pick. So those are kind of the teams I've been looking at, the teams that I mentioned. And then let's take a look at some pitchers, and I'll talk about the pitchers I've been looking at. So you can see here on the Sports Geek model, Jose Fernandez is the number 1 ranked pitcher. He's also the most expensive for the night at 12.6. He's going against KC, who have been doing well lately, but they haven't been hitting too well anyways. So Jose Fernandez, I think, will have a good game. It's just if you can fit him in your lineup or not. The same thing goes with Yu Darvish. I think he'll have a good game, but it's tough to fit. You could probably fit one of them, and then you're probably going to have to go cheaper, depending on if you go for value bats or not. But tonight, the bats seem to be pretty expensive, most of the bats that are in good spots. So it's going to be tough to get those expensive pitchers, but I really like Rich Hill here. I'm still waiting to find out if he's going to be on a pitch limit and what that's going to be. If it's anything below 80, I probably won't touch him. If it's somewhere around 90, I will probably play him. If you guys know anything about Rich Hill and a pitch limit, let me know in the comments. So he's someone I definitely like at 9,400, a little bit more of a discount. You can see his rating is pretty close to Darvish, and he's quite a bit cheaper. So it all depends. He's coming off an injury. I think he'll pitch all right. It just depends on his pitch limit. And he's going against San Fran, who aren't the best against lefties. From my research today, I just noticed that they don't hit lefties too well. So I think that might be a good play. DeGrom is another guy I like, who's 9,100. He's coming off, let's see. So he's coming off a really rough outing against the Giants, where he gave up 13 hits and 8 earned runs. But if you look at his game log before that, 29, 13, 32, 24 DraftKings points. So it all depends if you think he can bounce back. I think he can, 9,100. Decent price for him tonight. He's at St. Louis, which isn't the best matchup, but I wouldn't mind taking DeGrom tonight. Estrada is someone who I liked a lot earlier in the season. Lately, he hasn't been pitching as well, but he is in contention. He's in talks for the Cy Young a little bit. I don't think he's going to be up there in the top 3 or anything, but he's close to the top for the Cy Young award this year in the AL. But he's been struggling a little bit lately, but for the price, 8,600 in a night where you kind of need to find some cheap pitching, he might be a good play. And then other than that, there wasn't too many. The one cheap pitcher I did have, took a look at, was Dylan G, but he's way down here at 38 rating. So I don't know if I'll risk it with him, but he's only 5,100. He's going up against Miami, who haven't been too hot with the bats, and he's also coming off a big game with 28 DraftKings points. So he's someone I'll look at. He has been struggling before that, but he had a good start against Minnesota in his last start. So maybe him if you need some salary relief. And then the other guy I was looking at was Porcello, 11.9 for him tonight, and he's in Tampa Bay. Pretty good spot for him, and he's just been pretty dominant lately. If you look, he's had about 8 starts here in a row with over 20 DraftKings points, so pretty consistent. That's something you want in a GPP. You want to know that your pitcher's going to probably put up at least 20 DraftKings points for you. So I think it might be a good spot for him. He's a little lower rated than these guys up here, around the same price. So might be lower owned tonight than these two guys, so it might be a good GPP play. So those are kind of the pitchers I'm looking at. It's really tough. I think you need at least one expensive pitcher tonight for your GPP lineups. Unless you can, if you're making a couple lineups, maybe you can risk it and go with a couple cheap guys in each lineup and just hope that you hit. But for me, I'm putting in 2 lineups tonight, and I think I'll have one guy around the 5-figure mark in each lineup. So I'm going to take a look at the questions here on the right. What program do you use to broadcast? I use, I think it's called ODB or something, Open Web Broadcast or something like that. You should play FanDuel for the Phillies players. They're cheap. I'll take a look at that. I don't play FanDuel too much for baseball at all, but I do have some money in my account waiting for NFL season, so I'll take a look at that. So if you guys are playing Phillies players, apparently they're cheap on FanDuel tonight. Someone said, how about Rourke and Hill? So I already talked about Hill. I think he's a good play. Just depends if he's on a pitch count, pitch limit tonight. So if you guys have heard about that, let me know. I haven't heard anything yet. I'm expecting he should be ready to throw quite a few pitches. He's been off for a while, but it's a blister problem, so it's tough to know. But I definitely like Rich Hill if he's not on like a 60 pitch count limit or something like that. Tanner Rourke, where is he on the model? So he's about halfway down, closer to the bottom. I don't really love him against Baltimore. Baltimore's been hot lately. I guess they are in Washington, which is something that I like more than being in Baltimore. So in his last 2 home starts, he's put up around 20, an average of around 21 DraftKings points. So that he might be someone to look at. 8,800, not a bad price. Probably pretty contrarian. Probably pretty low owned, I would guess. So he's someone I wouldn't mind in GPP. I don't think I'll play him personally against Baltimore, but I wouldn't be against it really. Let's check some other questions here. Someone said, love your model, Kevin. I definitely win more in GPPs than I lose with your model. That's good to hear. I've been noticing a lot of success with the model, a lot of people tweeting me and stuff. So I'm pretty happy with how it's been going in the first year, and I'm excited for my NFL model coming up here in the next couple weeks. For trends building them for Fantasy Labs, do you compare those with the pro times? Who they recommend? Sorry, I don't understand your question, Samuel. For trends building them from fantasy. Yeah, sorry, I can't read that. Ask it again, and I'll try to answer that question. No DeGrom, yeah. So I already talked about DeGrom. I do like him. Just go back and watch the stream again once it's done. Talked about DeGrom. Someone said, so what will your lineups be tonight? So yeah, I'm not sharing my lineups. I throw them in GPPs. So if I had my lineup out here for you guys to see and I threw it in a GPP and someone else put the exact same lineup in and it got first, we'd have to split the prize. So no one smart would share their lineup for GPPs, but I will talk about the players I like. What are some of your favorite stacks in your model? So we kind of talked about it just looking through the lineups. But let's see what type of stacks we can go. So I was talking about how I like 3 and 4 hitter stacks tonight a little bit, just because some guys are expensive. It's tough if you want to stack, for example, the Blue Jays. Or the Blue Jays weren't too bad because they have Barney there at 2.7 or 2.9. But if you want to stack someone like Washington or something, it's tough to get all 5 in. So let's take a look at a 4 hitter stack here and see what we come up with the Sports Geek model. How many left-handed bats for KC tonight? So if you want to know how many left-handed bats, you can just go to the lineup, scroll down to KC, and it's got the hand of the batter here. So you can see that we've got 2 lefties. Yeah, 2 lefties in there for KC tonight against Jose Fernandez. Some guy will be... All right, that looks like all the questions. Here are the stacks. The stacks have loaded up here. So it looks like Texas is number 1 rated. And you can see there, you're getting a pretty good price at 15.2. Not bad. If you scroll down and compare it, some of them are up closer to 18.7, 18.8. So 15.2 is not bad. That's looking at Texas's 1, 2, 4, 7 hitter. So it depends how correlated you want it. Sometimes I like to stack just 4 hitters in a row, hoping that they all just go off in a row, string together a bunch of hits. But a 1, 2, 4, 7 stack could work. Then we've got Toronto 1, 2, 3, 4. Really like that one. I would also maybe throw in Tulo in the 5 to make it a full stack and still getting a decent price on it. Again, Texas is coming up second. Toronto, Texas. So a bunch of different Texas stacks seem to be the highest rated on the Sports Geek model. So that's definitely something I'll check out. Again, just to recap, I'll look at the questions again to see if there's any more, but to quickly recap the stream. Teams that I've been looking at: Washington, Toronto, Chicago White Sox, Phillies, but they're a little too expensive to stack, I think, tonight. Texas Rangers, Detroit Tigers, and that's pretty much it for the stacks I've been looking at. And then pitchers I've been looking at: Jose Fernandez, Darvish, Rich Hill, DeGrom, Estrada, I don't mind, Porcello, and G maybe at 5,100 if you need someone really cheap. Any more questions here? What is the number one 5-man? I'm not sure what that means. Number 1 5-man stack, probably Toronto 1 to 5. Fernandez has a high strike rate against right-handed bats, so Fernandez might be high owned. Yeah, he's the highest rated player here on the Sports Geek model. He'll probably be the highest owned pitcher tonight. I think a lot of people will start their lineups with Jose Fernandez. He's gonna be tough to fit in with the bats that I like tonight, so we'll see how my lineup building goes. Like I said, I've got 2 lineups, so maybe I'll throw him in one of 2. Talking about NFL season, will you be posting on YouTube again? Yeah, for sure. I plan to do a week 1 video, maybe next week, depending on how much news is out on starters and that kind of stuff. And I'll give out my week 1 picks for sure, at least a couple days in advance of the season. I'm really excited for the NFL. The Phillies 5-man stack, it looks all right, but very expensive. It's going to be tough to fit in 5 Phillies players with some good pitching tonight. But I do like the Phillies. I like the White Sox too. I like that game. Should be high scoring. Do you use the Vegas with the TVR to select? What's the TVR? To select your stack. I'm not sure what TVR is. Sorry, man. All right, that's going to wrap it up, guys. Thanks for joining me. Hope you guys win some money tonight. Make sure you click the like on the video if you like these live streams. And again, like I said, I won't be doing them every day, but when there's some big contests out there and I'm going to be playing and I've got some time to do some research, I'll definitely do them as long as I get some good support for the videos. So thanks for watching and hope you guys win some money tonight.